So a couple of other things. Now, like I said, this is my first time ever getting something like this, so I didn't want to spend a ton of money. I went with the Sakura. I saw a lot of people running them. They did pretty decent. But this spur gear right here that it comes with is my second one. I can probably show you. This is the original one that came with it, and I don't know if you can see. Let's see if it'll focus here. But all those teeth are flat. Not completely, but pretty much unusable. This is made out of aluminum, and you know, it worked perfectly fine for, I mean, since I've gotten the car and actually been running it. I don't know, maybe it's because I have the new parts and I've just been driving it a lot harder, because I can actually control it a lot better. But this thing, I mean, it's stripped out pretty quickly. Now, I did order another one online that's not going to be here for a little while. I actually ordered it's a metal, it's like I don't remember what kind of steel they use, but it's a hardened steel. It's supposed to last a lot longer, and it actually comes with a pinion that's I think it comes with a 22 tooth, which is what I was using before, but I think the teeth are different on the spur that I bought. So, but for now, since I'm waiting for that to come in, I just pretty much just went on Amazon and I bought another spur gear just to kind of get me going, because I really like messing around with this thing, and I really want to keep keep it going. As far as this goes right now, it works for me. The only thing that I would do later would be another body. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of give you a little thing at the bottom here. Here's a close-up of the top. That's pretty much what I got going on with this thing. So all the videos that I have posted up already are this chassis, and then yeah, this is probably what I'm going to be practicing. And I do live in Southern California, and Super G RC drift track, it's been closed recently because of the whole COVID-19, but I think it's going to be opening soon. I know they're doing appointments only, but I live kind of far away, so I want to make sure that they're going to be open and available for me to get on the track. And I want to make sure there's no one too serious there, because like I said, I'm new, so I don't want to make anybody angry. So this is kind of what I got going on. If there's any suggestions that anybody has for this, please feel free to feel free to mention them in the comments. 'Cause I bought some 20 weight shock fluid, and it's been I put it in there and it was still kind of stiff. So what I did was I pulled the shocks apart, completely disassembled them, took the you would call them shims in like a real shock, but I took the little piston out, and I actually drilled 2 extra holes, and I opened up the original holes a little bit, so now there's 4 on each of the back pistons. I didn't do the front because there's quite a bit of weight on the front and it feels fine, but I did do that for the rear to make it feel a little bit better. Another thing that I did purchase that I would recommend, I mean, it's not that expensive, and I know that you can buy, full-length shocks that are softer, or I'm sorry, full-length springs that are softer. But what I bought was this this Trackstar D-Spec hybrid spring set. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cheap. I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that, and it comes with a bunch of different spring rated springs, and then it's like a hybrid. So you add, you do like a soft spring, and it's more of like a progressive, you would call it, in real motorsport term, a progressive spring set. So if you ever see like real race cars, and they have a big coil and then it tightens up really, so that you get that progressive when you're going into a corner. It's it's able to dip down, but when you're actually hauling ass, it feels a little bit different. it's a little bit harder. So that's kind of what these do, and I did go with like the softest ones. You can see all these ones over here are kind of used up, and these are all the softest springs that you can get or you can put on here. And with the shock oil or with the shock piston modification and these springs, it's like night and day. It feels so much better, and I'm able to I don't have to like, you know, I can actually tune the shocks basically and change the ride height, and it actually stays in that area, and I'm able to see a real difference. The front, you kind of see it does, but it does compress and it does absorb stuff, but it's mainly for this movement here where, you know, you're going into a corner and you turn and it actually dips down, and it's supposed to, you know, be a little bit more realistic. You know, when I was drifting, that was a big thing, is you know, dipping into the corner and kind of getting the weight off that rear end so that you could kick it out. So it definitely simulates that a lot better, which is something that I really like. Front wheels that I'm using are just the MST adjustable offset wheels. These like mesh style. I mean, they were pretty cheap too. I want to figure out if there's a way to get a little bit more angle, but the problem that I see is it's hitting, even with the factory shocks, it was hitting the bottom of the spring seat. So I don't know. I mean, maybe with like a higher offset wheel, or maybe shaving down. I know a lot of people shave down the inside of the tire. I don't know. It feels okay for me for now, but I know later I'm gonna want more angle and be able to kind of like do some reverse entries. But I'm not there yet. I'm still learning. So I did put a little bit of weight in the rear. I put these wheel weights that I had left over from some jobs that I did. I'm actually a mechanic, and putting these weights in the rear with, okay, so pretty much with this setup, there's a couple of different ways that you can set up the electronics, and I know that, you know, you kind of make things, you know, you set things in there differently for weight distribution and all that. This is really the only configuration that I could come up with that really worked, unless I was putting like the ESC on top, which I may end up doing later to get more weight towards the rear so I could take these off. But for right now, this is kind of the only configuration that I could see really working, at least for me, and it's worked so far for me. You know, I'm gonna maybe in the future try it out. Maybe when I get a different ESC, I'll kind of switch it over here and kind of experiment with that. But as far as it goes right now, this is kind of what I got. Sorry, the wires are kind of hanging out because it's for like the body and the lights and all that. But that's pretty much what I got. I'm not exactly sure how much weight this. I don't remember. I actually weighed it, but I don't remember. I would love to corner balance this thing one of these days, but I'm not that into it. I know some people can get pretty serious about this stuff. So, but this is kind of where I'm at. Just some like cheap eBay wheels for the. There's not a ton more that I want to do to it. One of the things that I did have to do is I had to take all of the like the rear suspension apart, and take out some of the spacers that were being used in between like the lower control arm mounts, because they were making it stick. Like I would push it up and it would like stick, and it was kind of irritating. So I went through all of them, and I kind of, you know, rigged it up so that it doesn't do that. I had to remove some stuff, and it feels fine. I mean, it feels a little loose, but you don't really notice it when you're driving, to be honest. It's like, you know, there's so much going on and you're kind of like focused on driving, but it doesn't really affect it that much. Did the same thing for the front, but I'm actually running, I don't know if you can see, I'm running the monoshock in the front. I just wanted to try it out. I bought the parts, they were super cheap, and I put it in, and I mean, I've run it with the stock like suspension, like the two shock suspension in the front, and I've run it with this, and I'm still trying to like feel out the difference. I know that for like diving into corners and stuff like that, it does make a difference. So I'm still kind of getting used to it. But you know, and another thing that that kind of was a little annoying that they didn't mention was that the shocks, usually when you buy like a, say like a Traction Slash or anything like that, the shocks come pre-filled. They're pre-tuned for the car. These came with no fluid, and there was nothing on the website or anything that said, at least where I bought it from, that said that you needed to fill the shock. So I was running this thing with no shock fluid, the stock springs, and the stock springs are very, very hard and stiff. So I didn't really know what, you know, good fluid felt like. I mean, I've always been into off-road trucks, so shock tuning with those is a little bit different. This you know, the changes that you make are very, very minimal. Like, you don't really notice them as much as you would on like a truck, because you're jumping it and it's coming down and you can see that, you know, I say that I've probably put, I would say a few $100s, just because I've basically bought the motor and ESC and servo twice, because I got the cheap stuff, and then I eventually ended up getting the decent products. So but overall, I mean, it was fairly budget build. I mean, I like doing this. Every car that I've bought so far, whether it's off-road or anything like that, Traxxas have always been ready to run, so you don't really have to do anything to it. This is kind of my first time building it from the bottom up, putting my own electronics in it and everything. So there's a lot of tweaking to be done, but this is what I got. So thanks for coming and checking this out. Any questions or anything, please feel free to ask them, and I'll kind of do like a more close-up shot thing, little B-roll type stuff real quick, just to kind of show you everything, and that's it. All right, well, again, this is SCRC, SoCal RC, starting my drift journey. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.